Mapahinga yung pahingi ng yung Fold 6 ko Samsung.
Where is it?
Sa room.
Anong
Pakuha mo.
Anong color yun?
Gray. Yung Fold.
Gray?
Napo-fold. Pahinga.
Mas mabilis naman si Star na makarinig.
Ay. Kamusta guys? 1 second lang. Okay, set up na natin yan. Just a second. Ayan na guys. Kamusta naman kayo dyan? Welcome back dito sa latest episode ng Deep Dive. Ito na, papunta na tayo sa end of the week. And just as we enter the final days of the week and the month, mukhang may pakulo na naman dyan. At katulad ng pinag-usapan namin kanina ni Secretary Ronald Llamas and Mark, and we'll discuss this more later this week or towards the end of this week with Justice Carpio. There's still a worry na in the very final hours literally ng itong Senado, there could be some mumbo-jumbo moves to basically de facto dismiss itong trial na to. Although if you look at the statements of Chiz Escudero, he's basically sending mixed signals here. No? So isang banda sinasabi niya na basically it's up to the next Congress, 20th Congress. At the same time, he's arguing that, nah, well, if majority vote, then maybe we can basically settle the issue and nip it in the bud. No, at the same time, also yung mga Duterte-leaning senators na minsan may pagka projection na pa-independent effect katulad ni Cayetano are also sending mixed signals. On one hand, saying that, we shouldn't rush dismissal. Diba? So basically the opposite, but more or less a different variation of what Chiz was doing, right? Before, ang excuse ni Chiz not to do it forthwith was, let's not rush it, let's do it properly. Now naman, let's not rush the dismissal, but, basically, diba, let's basically teeter on the edge, no? Kung saan, maybe we can do something about it and give in basically to the to the DDS camp, the whole Batorni camp when it comes to potential dismissal of this. So mixed signals, but speaking of mixed signals, Cayetano also mentioned that Chiz Escudero is in a very good spot to actually retain yung kanyang presidency of the Senate. Really the most amazing position in the world, the most respected position nowadays. If he sticks to the current, some would say script, some would say modus operandi, some would say, he's bright boy, principled, sabi nga ni Lita Banayaban, yung dating ni Digong, tapos ni Isko, and then ngayon, hindi ko alam, naging analyst na pala. Minsan talaga kung sino-sino nagiging analyst. Ano sabi niya, parang master stroke. Kung tuloy-tuloy itong master stroke ni Chiz Escudero, you never know, baka naman magkakaroon ng tuloy-tuloy yung kanyang powers at yung kanyang excellent leadership sa Senate. But, before going to the Senate, guys, yung ating, kung may ex-human rights in the case of Harry Roque, ito naman, ex upper house. Ex upper house, we'll just keep it at that. Before we go there, guys, pag-usapan naman natin yung just exactly as we predicted yesterday, or at least as we prognosticated yesterday, the prospect for Rodrigo Duterte to gain some sort of interim release have significantly diminished thanks to the DDS strategy of essentially engaging in misinformation and disinformation, twisting things. Obvious naman, yung iba naman naghahanap buhay lang, kaya siguro kailangan nila magpakita ng KPI since ang laki naman ng bayad sa kanila. But it looks like the whole DDS twisting of the narrative strategy and all is really backfiring big time. At kanina lang nakita natin, guys, na nakita natin, guys, na Australia and also Belgium have made it absolutely clear na no, we're not interested in hosting an ICC alleged criminal or someone allegedly engaged in thousands of extrajudicial killings, or at least being the mastermind of that. No, thanks, we're not gonna host this person. Now, the Belgium one obviously would have logistically made sense because napakalapit ang Belgium at napakalapit ang Belgium sa Hague. Ayan na yung mga DDS trolls na iyak na naman sila. That would have made sense. And remember, we had this discussion with Justice Carpio the other day, and Justice Carpio was saying it has to be somewhere like in Netherlands or very close, because logistically speaking, if your argument is that Digong has to be given some sort of a, hindi naman reprieve, but at least kind of a relaxation in his detention conditions, meaning move into some sort of a house arrest situation, then it cannot be too far. So kung this is Argentina or some, I don't know, Latin American, Asian country, it's too far. Imagine flying in and out and all of the logistical difficulties, not to mention the flight risk. So this should be a place that is quite close to The Hague. So the idea of Brussels was not totally crazy, if ever that's true. As I said, what I've heard from my sources is that it could be Portugal, or to a lesser, with the lesser probability, Spain, which may have in principle offered potential, hosting, responsibilities, if I can put it that way. But the other one also was Australia. I don't know where on earth did the idea of Australia come in the picture, because ang layo rin. Sobrang layo din ng Australia. I mean, I cannot say parang mas malayo pang Australia from Argentina, right? Kasi Argentina parang sa Atlantic side. So actually you can fly straight from Argentina, from Buenos Aires. I think you can fly straight to Spain, right? Or anyway, parang mas malayo pang Australia. So again, logistically speaking, it's like a crazy idea. And then nevertheless, pinatulan ng ibang tao yung haka na yan because they were looking at why Sara Duterte in Australia, what's up there, and then, Sara Duterte being the genius she is, meron siyang sinabi about, very entitled, di ba? Eh, bakit pa kayo may interim list kung hindi nilang ibibigay sa tatay ko, di ba? Parang ganun basically yung tono, di ba? And then ngayon, ayan na naman, walk back na naman itong mga kaibigan natin. So, let's just discuss this because yesterday, as I said, we and I also shared yung snippets ng ating behind the scenes BTS interview with attorney Christina Conti. I mean, they're alienating the prosecutor's office. They're earlier alienated earlier they also alienated the judges, essentially the whole court, by bashing them and bullying them. And then now, of course, what we're looking at the situation is whereby even the initial openness to discuss yung interim release is out of the picture. But nevertheless, ito guys, so official na Belgium, Australia, isa-isa na sila lahat nagre-reject or basically coming out and saying, oh, no, 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 not at all, not interested at all, diba? So mukhang Digong is not going to Belgium, Brussels, or I don't know, Adelaide or Sydney or Melbourne or anytime soon, right? So Australia and Belgium both rejected the bid to serve as host countries for the interim release of former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is obviously now currently detained at The Hague. Binisita natin yan the other month, if you remember. Ayon dito, no? And this is again, Attorney Conti also mentioned, there's no country in record that's accepted to be willing as host as a third country to the interim release of the former president, and Belgium declined it. As I said, what I heard is potentially it's Portugal. Of course, currently Digong is in ICC Scheveningen prison in The Hague. Is it? Scheveningen? Parang iba eh. Anyway, it's medyo mas mahaba yung name. I forgot how to say it in Dutch, but it sounds medyo German. But anyway, so it looks like malabo na whether for Australia, or Belgium, and all of them will be open to it. Again, the context of that is very clear, as we said. Their logistical consideration, their flight risk consideration, of course, not to mention, there are also consideration that not only baka may mahirapan mo na ibabalik yan sa court or anything, hindi nga siya cooperative to begin with, baka mamaya he will be also in a position to intimidate the witnesses, to tamper with the evidence, to obstruct, or worse when it comes to the court procedures, which are gonna head into full-scale action later this early July actually. So next week ito, we're already gonna have an idea about the specific charges, sino yung mga individuals or victims who are gonna be cited as a basis for the charges of mass atrocities against Digong. And then of course, I think officially we'll also get to know whether talagang off the table, talagang wala na yung interim release option. I think we'll have more or less an idea of that next week. So it's just interesting. Now, speaking of interesting, suddenly you have I think the DDS camp now suddenly saying, oh, wala naman kami sinabi na Australia or this and that. Ayan tayo eh. This really this complete lack of any kind of I would say fidelity to facts, if that's a mild way if I can put it, or any kind of accountability. Kung ano sasabihin nila, kung ano yung retest nila, kung ano ng mga fake news, disinformation is spread nila. Next thing you know, kung na-booking or napahiya or na-call out biglang, ay wala naman kami sinabi or something. Remember yung kay Bato, when nahuli siya na nagsispread ng AI fake. Next thing you know, oh no, hindi naman, it's not the medium, it's the message, right? Medyo next level medyo next level communications theory yan. I don't care about the medium, kahit fake na AI, basta it's the message that I agree with. Oh, that's a good theory. That's a new theory. Hindi na yung medium is the message. Ngayon is like, the message is different from the medium, even if the medium is fake news. Basta the message is correct, Actually, we saw a version of that. Remember when Trump said something like, about immigrants in a certain place doing certain things, and then obvious na fake news yun, and then next thing you know is dinefend siya ng isang tao, sabi niya, it's the sensibility that was being transmitted, yung ganyan style. Anyway, so as things are shaping up in ways na mukhang mahirapan si Tatay Digong to have some sort of improvement in the situation. Nevertheless, if ever bibigyan siya ng interim release or anything like that, maybe there's really some serious health condition or psychological health conditions, and siguro ang determination ng court is, and even the prosecution team, is that if that's best for his health and well-being, then so be it. Because after all, guys, we all want former President Rodrigo Duterte to be as healthy, as strong as possible, so that he faces the, well, some would say justice, but at the very least, he faces the court procedures para magkakaalaman din tayo, right? Because for some victims, just to see Duterte standing trial could give them some closure. For other victims, they want to know the truth. Bakit ganun nangyari? What was the real command responsibility? Sino bang ibang taong involved? And then the other people are saying that thanks to the ICC, ngayon napapressure yung Philippine government to also up its game, to do its job, to also make sure na it can protect the witnesses, but most importantly, guys, to also look into its own mess, right? Ano ba yung mga kakulangan ng Philippine government? Anong kakulangan ng Philippine National Police? Anong pwedeng gawin ni General Torre, among others, Secretary Remulla, among others, to make sure na they're gonna look into the ranks, no? Ano bang role ng rank and file or mid-level officers, or more importantly, yung mga dating senior officers aside from Bato, let's say next level below Bato, or even some of the successors of Bato, no? Co-perpetrators, co-conspirators, and other people have been involved. Because we're talking about thousands, if not tens of thousands of each case. So this is not just one, two, three persons. And as I said, the ICC only looks at yung mga chief architects, basically, yung mga masterminds ng krimen na ito. But we know that this would not have happened without the participation en masse, no, on a systematic level. I mean, the whole definition of mass atrocity is that there's a systematic state policy in terms of perpetrating certain kind of crime. So at least the good thing here is that as long as this thing is happening, at least ma-pressure or even ma-nudge, if not ma-inspire yung ating mga domestic institutions to do their job and to move in a certain direction. That's something that is very important. Nevertheless, as I said, minsan napapaisip talaga ako what's up with the DDS camp, and recently, of course, Sara Duterte was trying to again twist things in a certain direction. At ang argument niya, ito na yung latest version, no? Ang latest version is, ayan na naman, biktima na naman mga Duterte. Kawawa talaga. Parati silang biktima, no? Ever since, talaga silang biktima ever since. So, etong latest version naman nila is basically, front runner kasi ako to be the president eh. Kaya marami na-threaten sa akin. Kaya kung ano nung ginagawa nilang is istorya ukol sa amin, diba? Even though si Tatay Digong talagang master of istorya and basically one-man troll form, as some people will put it. But anyway, going back to this, guys, let's talk about this. Speaking of Sara Duterte, as a front runner to be the next president, well, I don't know if that's what the surveys show, but honestly, even if that's what surveys show today, like who cares? Because things could be very different in a month or two. Things could be absolutely different in a year or two. And more than that, like, who cares kung popular ka per se? It's not about popularity, it's about competence. It's about the constitutionality of your action. Diba? I mean, kung, throughout history, we have had Saddam and Kim Jong-un or Kim Il-sung and all sorts of different clowns and Mussolini and even worse version, they were popular at some point. So what? Right? Popularity doesn't make you right. It doesn't mean... In fact, minsan, mas hindi popular yung mga tao na disciplinarian, na competent, dahil ginagawa nilang tama, at pag ginagawa mong tama minsan, there are gonna be short-term pains, or actually, you're gonna call out ignorance. Kaya ako sabi ko, I take it as a badge of honor na naiinis yung ibang tao sa mga sinasabi natin dahil alam natin na mali sila. Right? Basically, they're wrong. They're morally and ethically wrong, but they're also, well, let's just be honest. Right? I mean, and speaking of, let's just be honest. Honestly, like, siya talagang gusto niya maging presidente kasi I was wondering, like, I haven't heard much from Sara, to be honest. One reason is because did she attend any single debate at all, a legit debate or discussion? Did she ever partake in any serious interview or whatever? Parang hindi, di ba? So, sometimes talaga I wonder, like, even yung DepEd secretary siya, I didn't see her really giving any kind of, forget about impassioned speech or anything like that, but siya mga speech ukol dun sa mga programa ng DepEd in a systematic way, in a kind of a multi-variable, multi-level analysis of ano yung mga kulang, basically laying out the land, ano mga kailangan ng gawin ng DepEd. I honestly don't remember. I saw snippets here and there, and to be honest, they kind of remind me of when I saw this.
Yan lahat with your human
Ano,
workforce. So dapat ang iniisip mo how to modernize and leverage the available technology out there to improve the Philippine
so ito,
national police.
nag-recommend siya about improving
Andun pa rin
PNP.
tayo sa 1980s, 1970s na magpatrolya ang mga pulis sa daan. Di ba nga, pwede mo nang hulihin ang tao or pwede mo nang i-charge ang tao or i-fine ang tao based on CCTV footage? Pwede na, di ba? Kasi meron ng contactless apprehension sa traffic na supposedly dapat ginagamit na rin natin. So, hindi ko alam. Sorry, I'm just really
Yeah.
frustrated. Yan lahat
Ulitin natin na.
with
Ano?
your human
Ano?
workforce. So dapat ang iniisip mo how to modernize and leverage the available
Aba, may
technology
leverage.
out there to improve
Okay. Systematic
the
analysis.
Philippine National Police. Andun pa rin tayo sa 1980s, 1970s na magpatrolya ang mga pulis sa daan.
So 1970s pa lang ginagawa na buong mundo.
Di ba nga,
Sana ko may patrol talagang police around the world.
pwede mo nang hulihin ang tao or pwede mo nang i-charge ang tao or i-fine ang tao based on CCTV footage? Pwede na, di ba? Kasi meron ng contactless apprehension sa traffic na supposedly dapat ginagamit na rin natin. So, hindi ko alam. Sorry, I'm just really frustrated.
Well, I mean that was a very profound intervention, no? Pagdating sa mga kailangan na issue na kailangan tayo sa ating bansa. Anyway, as I said, naintindihan ko rin bakit yung may ibang tao, wala na silang paki masyado kung itong tao na to ay kaya niya bang i-explain at all or express at all yung kailangan niya express or explain. Dahil, ang katotohanan naman, marami naman tayong naging politiko na napakagaling magsalita, pero wala naman saysay or walang prinsipyo or walang sinseridad. So, naintindihan ko rin. But I always say this, guys. I always say this. Sang-ayon ako doon sa sinasabi ng ating mga ibang kababayan na, ano naman ang saysay ng talino kung hindi naman sa tamang lugar yung kanila yung puso or yung damdamin or mga adikain or intensyon ng isang politiko. Naintindihan ko yan. Yeah, exactly. That's why, guys. Intelligence alone is not enough to determine whether you're going to be a good leader and all or at all, di ba? Or not, di ba? That's why hindi ito usapin ng sinong mas mataas ang academic achievements and all. Having said that, although it is not a guarantee of good leadership, it is a must. It is the first level na kailangan natin ayusin, right? Because even if yung tao ay best intention in the world and even if sabihin natin tamang gusto niyang gawin, kung tatay level na bara-bara na walang saysay yung pag-iisip, purong kaiwanan din mangyayari, di ba? So kaya nga I'm saying we have to be very clear to always demand merit but at the same time heart, di ba? Dun sa ating leaders. But having one of them without the other is very dangerous. And even more dangerous is not even having the foundation, yung basics na hinahanap natin sa isang politiko. But having said that, indeed it is true. May mga politiko tayo, yung iba pa, nag-aaral pa sa mga matitinong universidad, ito abogado. But anyway, nag-aaral sa matinong eskwela, ganito, ganyan, yung iba nga, nakapag-aaral pang abroad, etc. But if you look at it, my goodness, I mean, the kind of arguments and gymnastics, mental gymnastics, legal gymnastics, rhetorical gymnastics and acrobatics and mumbo jumbos and Mickey Mouse stuff they do, I mean, it's extremely disappointing. And that's also the context within which, hindi ko maintindihan yung sinasabi ni Lito Banayo na master stroke, bright boy. These people. Yan din ang problema natin. Para naman natin maintindihan kung tamang nangyari sa ating politika, kung yung mga ibang na pandit, sablay din ang pinagsasabi. Ayan na, iyak na naman tong mga team bangag. Ay, sorry, team fentanyl. Ay, sorry, team bakit bakit sila gano'n, no? Yung mga ka-DDS natin, sobrang affected masyado. But anyway, going back to this, guys. So, medyo napapaisip ang tao at saka nag-worry yung ibang tao. What on earth is going on here? Like, so sabi ni Escudero the other day, hindi ko alam kung nakikita niyo yung kilay niya, but ang sinasabi ni Escudero the other day is actually you can basically get rid of the whole impeachment if there's a simple majority vote. Nakakatakot yung itong simple majority vote na yan because so ito yung sinabi niya sa press conference the other day. The impeachment court could decide by simple majority whether i-dismiss niya etong impeachment laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte, no? So ito yung sinabi niya kanina nung isang araw lang, as the impeachment court presiding officer sa kanyang press conference. Simple majority means you only need 13. It's not even like the 18 senators na napakagaling. It's just simple majority, no? So nung tinanong siya kung pwede ma-dismiss yung impeachment based on Duterte's answer and cautelam, Latin for as a precaution alone, ang sinabi niya is, yes, it is within the realm of possibility. That's possible, but of course, Chiz being Chiz is smart enough not to fully commit to a certain line of argument or train of thought. But I don't want to go ahead on what the impeachment court's decision would be, of course. Simple majority is needed in all voting. Ba't parang naging simple majority is needed in all voting. 2/3 are needed to convict and acquit, but it takes a question. If there's already a simple majority to dismiss, for example, then it's possible to reach 2/3, right? What? Ano? So ang sinasabi niya dito is parang parang hindi ko gets. I mean, parang gets ko yan, pero parang it doesn't make sense. Or it's very dodgy, shady arguments. Ang sinasabi mo is, kung nakakapagkuha itong tao na to na basically, if 13 senators are willing to be there for Sara to dismiss this, then sigurado na there'll be 2/3 down the road to acquit her. Or actually, it's more like the other way around because 18 already, 2/3 already voted to remand it, return it. Madaling makuha tong majority na 13 lang, and therefore basically wag na natin pilitin ito dahil wala naman, there's no number. I mean, do you get what I'm saying? Like, you can read this in different ways, but it looks like the fundamental message is, nakita na 18 na nga, ayaw na, they don't even want to deal with it. Baka forget about it, let's just get over it. Diba? Do you get what I'm saying? What's going on here? Actually, if you think about it, even ibabalik-baliktaran mo tong sinasabi niya and all, parang ang imply dito is forget about it, wala rin mangyari. But then again, this could also go to the 20th Congress and the situation could be different there, right? Ito, ayon kay Escudero, any member of the court can also move to convict Duterte and like the motion for dismissal or to be also decided by a vote. And of course, nag-hedge na naman siya, the sophistry. Ayon kay Escudero, they can also move that. I cannot prevent that from happening, but I will not vote for that. All motions are allowed. Don't focus on the motion to dismiss because the motion to convict is also allowed. Of course. There's no rule that prevents a member or lawyer from doing it. What if the prosecutor says that? It's already obvious. Article 2 and 3 are already seen on TV. Let's not present evidence and just proceed to vote. They can make that motion, but I'll disagree with that. Okay, so medyo may position na siya. Nevertheless, ito interesting Si Cayetano, the other bright boy, ay nag-push to amend yung the whole Batornia argument the other the other week but now what's interesting is that suddenly you look at Cayetano, medyo may ganyan messaging din siya, right? So Ayon kay Alan Peter Cayetano, remember, Alan Peter Cayetano is important in this case. Not only was he vice presidential candidate of Rodrigo Duterte, of course, hindi nanalo, but he was the foreign affairs secretary later on, and blah, 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 and basically DDS. So, but, anyways, meron pa rin pretension to independence, meron pa rin kahit papano, hindi ka attorney level. Pero ito remember siya yung nagsabi na parang, hindi, bago magpalit isip si Bato, baka gusto na natin i-vote tong remand na to. So basically, Bato did not get his dismiss. Kawawa naman pagbigyan natin. Maybe it will make sense if we give to Bato, I don't know, the chance to, I don't know, compromise na lang tayo. Let's just remand it. Which was like, what the heck was that? Until now, right? Anyways, si Cayetano may mga, may pahabol na naman siya. I can only assure the public, yung sinabi niya just yesterday, I can only assure the public that na abot tayo sa ebidensya if the whole impeachment court says na wala itong fatal constitutional defect that takes our jurisdiction from the court. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, at the same time, wala kaming problema kung titignan ang ebidensya, pero baka naman may fatal constitutional defect, mga ganon-ganon. So, in English, the public can be assured that we'll reach the presentation of evidence if the whole impeachment court says that the complaint has no constitutional defect. At the same time, sabi niya, you can show the evidence against the vice president and then later decide if the court has jurisdiction over the case or otherwise. So basically, they're still hovering around this argument na, baka wala naman, hindi naman automatic yung jurisdiction, ganon. And then Cayetano then said that Escudero was simply laying out possibilities lang naman. So medyo sinistrong man niya eh. So meron tayong Chiz, Cayetano, tag team. Sinabi niya Cayetano na sinabi lang naman ni Escudero na, si SP lang, ni-layout lang naman niya yung mga ibang scenarios and possibilities and not guaranteeing the dismissal of the impeachment complaint. So dito naman biglang may pivot. Just because you can, it doesn't mean you should. Diba? Ngayon, so basically, sinasabi nila, actually, we may have the number to really get rid of these things and all. Nakita naman, 18 senators here and that. But, we're gonna be nice, we're gonna be generous, we're gonna be very considerate. So, just because we can, doesn't mean we're gonna do it, right? We really have to take a deep breath and think what's best for the country, para sa bayan. And that's precisely why we agreed to return to the impeachment complaint to the House first. So ngayon, biglang kailangan pa natin magpasalamat sa ating minamahal na senador at senado, mga kabatorni natin dyan, ang pinaba pa sa Kongreso even if walang basihan, completely against the Constitution, completely against any precedents, etc. Basically, based on the analysis of anyone na A, hindi DDS, and B, hindi duwag, and C, sorry to say that, and C, actually, may pagka-legal luminary. I mean, in the world of legal credentials, for instance, Puchel Jokno, and then Chiz, and then kahit ano, and then, nasaan si Bato? Batorni. Nevertheless, this is what I love about this whole sophistry. Kung na-dismiss naman during that time, this is, so remember guys, ito yung sinasabi natin what if, na-determine na hindi naman, wala naman violation of 1-year ban, 1-year bar rule doon sa filing of the impeachment, and and then by July maybe 28, medyo papunta na tayo sa impeachment, etc. Ito na naman sinabi ni Cayetano, kung na-dismiss during that time, what would be next? Pagdating mo na bagong 12 senador, back to zero kami, but ngayon na ibinalik. So, one, mahihimay natin yung issue that did they not violate the Constitution in terms of one impeachment lang my God, this is just, inaano-ano lang nila. Inaano-ano lang, yung parang sinabi ni Sarah, inaano-ano lang. Secondly, obvious naman yung speaking of obvious naman yung pagka nag-appoint sila ng bagong prosecutor at dumating sila, interesado pa sila. Kung hindi sila dumating sa korte, hindi na sila interesado. Pero hindi mo pwedeng sabihin yung from the 19th Congress, nasa 20th Congress na tayo, but that time, just to kind of make it sense, no? Also, if the House appoints a new set of prosecutors, then that would show that they remain interested in pursuing the impeachment case. So obviously now may dalawa na talo doon sa original prosecution team. So papasok si Chel, papasok si Leila. If they don't show up, then they are not interested anymore. But we cannot assume that what the 19th Congress wants to do will be the same for. Nevertheless, guys, magpasalamat tayo. Wonderful people, amazing people. But guys, don't panic daw because one, there's a Supreme Court. There's always another person to ping-pong this with or i-dribble this thing. If you have a majority who says that they violated the Constitution, yung lower house, babaksak at babaksak yan. sa Supreme Court yan. Secondly, what's the worst case? They can file another one after 1 year. What? If the Senate court finds the impeachment case unconstitutional, then it can be questioned before the Supreme Court, and that's what is the worst case. They would have to file another. Guys, I knew that may gagawin sila mga ganitong mga Mickey Mouse stuff. But this is like next level Mickey Mouse. Like, this is really getting ridiculous, guys. Pinapaikot-ikot lang tayo sa mga kaiwanan na ganito. In another vote of confidence by Cayetano, so Cayetano did not only make a vote of confidence in terms of, the bright boy, masterstroke management, handling leadership of Escudero of this very contentious issue, which should not have been contentious in any self-respecting rule of law-based country. But anyway, ito ulit ang sinabi ni Cayetano, no? Sabi niya, I'm supporting Senate President Escudero, of course. Why wouldn't you, right? Like, I think magandang takbo itong last year. Amazing. Wonderful. Walang perfect kasi na majority, walang perfect na senador, Senate President, but ang pagka nakikita mo, may energy, may vision, may prinsipyo, the most amazing Senate President. Kung today ang election, he has more than 13. Interesting. You keep on hearing the number 13. 13 na majority na kailangan basically, mawalang saysay itong lahat. 13 din ang bibigay sa kanya for him to remain as a Senate President. Although Cayetano was quick to add na anything can still happen, of course, between now and the 20th Congress, of course, diba? To be fair, of course, guys, alam naman natin na maraming nagpo-position na ngayon to be the next Senate President, including, of course, former Senate President Tito Soto, and obviously even si Lacson ay pumoposition na rin as a former senator, a veteran senator returning, medyo ma-GMRC to, but and of course kay Senator Lacson, ang kanyang bragging rights is that he never accepted pork barrel. And ngayon, tinatamaan niya si Escudero dun sa issue ng wala daw pork barrel sa budget for the fiscal year 2025. So yeah, position. But guys, let's not forget, there's someone else na position dito, which is who is Jaime Marcos. Yung nakalusot lang by the skin of by the teeth of by the skin of her teeth, right? Kung ano naisip ko. At ngayon, nag-ambition pa mag-Senate President. Next level. Diba? Kaya, kasi, syempre, out of respect, mga ka-DDS, mga senators and colleagues, Cayetano also mentioned, Senator Amy Marcos has also expressed na available naman siya just in case. To be fair to Senator Amy, hindi siya actively nagka-campaign. Kawawa naman. Pero pag sinabi mong available ka, it doesn't happen madalas. Pero sometimes, nangyayari yan, yung dose papunta sa iyo. But I think right now, medyo comfortable yung majority with Senate President Escudero. It's, ang question lang is time. Ang sabi ko lang kay Senator President, basta lahat ng abogado available ako, pero hindi naman parang take it or leave it, or, this is of course when he was asked about yung position of majority floor leader na kay Joel Villanueva na medyo may naaway daw kunyari by Robin Hood, mga ganun. Anyway, I think guys, for anyone pag gumagana utak niyo, alam niyo na what's going on here, right? This is incredible. This is just incredible. Which just tells you what a deep what a profound state of democratic crisis we're finding ourselves in. Obviously, yung iba takot na takot to alienate the DDS camp, or yung iba trapong-trapo, or both. And yeah, I think service shows Sarah has a very good chance to be the next president, especially if she comes out of this unscathed, or even more in a kind of a vengeful second return, I don't know, whatever, comeback mode. Which tells you guys, talagang sobrang malalim ang problema natin pagdating sa ating demokrasya. And that's why we really have to up our game, and I really hope dun sa mga ibang kandidato who at least projected themselves as progressive candidates or pink or whatever, mag-step up talaga kayo. Kailangan nyo talaga mag-step up. Kasi kung sila rin, or at least isa sa kanila, ilan na nga lang sila, is gonna make this kind of, let's see, alam mo, wala na mangyari sa atin. Good luck na talaga sa bansa natin. Kaya magpapasalamat tayo kahit papaano may ICC dyan. Imagine guys, kung wala yung ICC, walang-wala. Talagang not even a hint, not even a dose, not even an iota of a chance at a measure of or semblance of justice. Ganyan tayo kalayo dun sa lugar na dapat natin puntahan, right? Or dapat sana nandun tayo na matagal na ilang dekada na tayo may electoral politics, diba? So that just tells you guys how profound the state of political crisis in our country is. And as we speak, guys, medyo papunta na tayo sa constitutional crisis, to be honest, honestly. And as Justice Scorpio and others have warned, papunta na rin tayo in terms of, potentially into a very dangerous state of mind when some people may have ideas aside from electoral politics to address the rotten core of our political system. On that very encouraging note, that amazing note, wonderful note, big and beautiful note, tapusin natin yan, and then looking forward guys to catching up with you later this week. Hopefully have Justice Scorpio and Sir Ronald among others to live analysis mode natin, live stream analysis mode natin, yung Puya ka siya, yung Senate hearing na darating na itong weekend na to. On that note, thank you very much. Maraming salamat sa inyong suporta. As you may see, meron na tayong first draft version ng ating trailer. Medyo hindi naman tayo ka-level ng mga kabilang channel and all. Hindi naman tayo production level. Pero sabi ko naman after almost 3 years and so nandito tayo doing podcasting a little bit more and more pretty regularly, sabi ko naman kailangan siguro medyo mag-level up na tayo. So medyo may naman tayo. Pinakita natin yung bakit si Bastang lumabas? Ito yung first version ng trailer natin, but there's gonna be hopefully a better, we're still working the finalizing one. So let me just say thank you, because this trailer is in many ways a kind of a thank you also to you guys, lahat ng mga sumuporta sa atin through and through. Believe me, it gets sometimes very depressing, very, very, I mean, sometimes it's even disgusting, the level of hate and calumny and nonsense you get from like either demonyong tao or talagang ning na tabad na hindi ko maintindihan. But go lang tayo dahil sa inyong lahat, dahil sa inyong pagmamahal at suporta, and believe me, it means a world to us. And thank you to you guys for really pushing us to go. All right.
Scientist and author of the book Rise of Duterte, Richard Heydarian. Very nice to see you, Richard.
Just let's start with these charges and exactly what he's accused.
News analyst Richard Heydarian, who's in Manila for us. Richard, good to see you again on the... Richard Heydarian is a political analyst and assistant professor of international affairs at De La Salle University.
Dati pa yan.
Story. Joining us live from Istanbul is Richard Javad Heydarian.
Richard Heydarian, welcome to the program. So you know what? Not many people pay a huge amount of attention these days.
From Manila by political analyst Richard Heydarian. He is the author of the book The Rise of Duterte.
Welcome to Deep Dive with Richard Heydarian. Dito, we're gonna provide you cutting-edge, comprehensive analysis ng mga pinakamahalagang issues sa ating bansa and the world over.
Richard, good to speak to you again.
Medyo nasobrahan ng konting compilation kaya inaayos pa namin. But for me, the interesting part is the last part kung saan sabi ko na, we started with kind of a mainstream media, international media, just, yung mga tabi-tabi lang. Alam mo naman, tayo ng mga hampas lupa. But the important thing is nag-transition tayo, guys, into something more flexible, much more interactive, medyo bardagulan, and I hope you guys appreciate it, because hindi ito madali. It's easy for you to do one wonderful speech every 10 months or every month or so. Madaling-madali yan, diba? To be above the fray and feeling mo kung sino ka, and I'm like brilliant and all of that. But to every day grind through this, to lean into this and take the punches and punch back and all of that, you need moral courage and ambition there. It's intellectual ambition, merit. This is something that I think a lot of us are familiar with and I have pursued in our lives. But guys, moral ambition is something else, meaning you're willing to take the punches and also to return it, and you grind on every single day and you lean into it. And that's something that I'm extremely proud of. I think that's some people are just born with certain intellectual faculty and certain propensity to success, or they have the right environment. But moral ambition, yung tenacity, the audacity, those kind of things, character building and character development yan. And that's something that we're very proud of. But more importantly, that's something that we're very grateful to you for, dahil sa inyong support, and also, of course, constructive criticism. As I said, we keep on refining and tweaking, but sometimes maybe you should also trust that we know what we're doing, right? Or maybe not, but we try our best. On that note, thank you very much. God bless, and talk to you soon. Salamat.